Hello, welcome to a tutorial on how to use the probability calculator from GeoGebra, which is a mathematics software accessible online. In this video, I'm going to talk about how to read probability notation, how to decide how to shade a normal distribution function, and how to use the calculator to compute probabilities. First, to access this calculator, you want to go to geogebra.org/calculator. When you first navigate to this site, it will default to the coordinate grid, so you want to go up to where it says Graphing and click on Probability to get the probability calculator. Alright, let's look at some examples. This graph below shows a standard normal distribution. We're given a z-score and we're asked to shade the area corresponding to this expression. This is read as the probability that a z-score is less than negative 0.7. We have a couple different options for shading, and let's look at three different examples here. We're going to look at that one I just said right there, the probability z is less than negative 0.7. We're going to look at the probability that z is greater than 0.5, and we're going to look at the probability that z is between negative 1.7 and 0.7. So when we investigate these, we'll start with z is greater than 0.5. We're given four options for shading. We can shade area to the left, we can compute area to the left, compute area to the right, we can compute area between two values, and we can compute area between two or outside two regions. These options are in the calculator, are these four boxes here. So, to decide what shading you should do, it's based on what the inequality is in the statement of the probability. This one is going to be to the right. And that is because this says the probability that z-scores are greater than 0.5. So what I need to do is first grab this line here. I'm going to drag it to a z-score of 0.5, positive 0.5. And this horizontal axis here, these are all z-scores. This is the z-score of negative 4. This represents a z-score of negative 2. So saying the probability that any given z-score is greater than 0.5 means I'm going to start at the z-score of 0.5, and then I need to shade z-scores that are greater than that value. Greater than, in this case, is to the right, which is why I shade to the right of a value. This is the first step. I've got the shading. Now, to use technology to compute what this actual shaded area is, I'm going to move over to my probability calculator. To use this, first I need to make sure that I have normal selected, because it is told that this is a normal distribution. And because it is a standard normal distribution, I should make sure that my mean, symbolized by mu, is 0, and that my standard deviation, symbolized by sigma, is 1. This is the default for the probability calculator, but it's good to double check. If it's standard, it should be 0 and 1. Alright, I should then select my correct shading. I want it to be to the right of the value. And then to get my computation, I'm just going to click in this box here between the P and the parentheses. This is the box for the z-score, and I'm going to type in my given z-score, 0.5. The probability that the z-score is larger than 0.5 is the same as the probability that 0.5 is smaller than my z-score. And here is our answer right there, 0.3085. This is saying that about 30.85% of all z-scores lie above the value 0.5. Let's look at our second example. If I'm trying to find the probability that the z-score is less than a negative 0.7, the first thing I'm going to do is move my marker to the appropriate thing, so I need to move this until I'm at negative 0.7. And again, this is saying z-scores less than negative 0.7. This axis is the z-scores, so I am looking for, I want to shade z-scores smaller than negative 0.7. Those are areas to the left, so I want to select left of a value. To use technology to compute this area then, to find what this exact shaded area is, over here I want to confirm that, yep, I've got a normal distribution. It is standard because the mean is 0 and the standard deviation is 1. That's what standard means. I want to select area to the left, so I will select the first option, the one that has square brackets opening to the left, and then I'm going to type in my z-score, negative 0.7. Here's my answer. The probability that a z-score is less than negative 0.7 is 0.24196. It says round to 4 decimal places, so 196 will become 0.2420. This is saying about 24.2% of all z-scores lie below the value negative 0.7. As a last example, said if we want to find the probability that a given z-score is larger than negative 1.7 but less than 0.7, in other words, between the value of negative 1.7 and 0.7, we're going to select between two values as an option because I want my z-score to be between these two. So I need to grab these and drag negative 1.7 on the bottom and a positive 0.7 on the top. That's our statement. Again, this is saying the probability that my z-score lies between negative 1.7 and 0.7. That means I need the values on this horizontal axis that lie between negative 1.7 and 0.7. That is the between situation. This is the shading that I want to find the exact area, which is a probability of this shaded region. Using my calculator, I'm going to need to choose the between option. So this it's two square brackets facing one another. It's also good to confirm that, again, I am indeed working with the normal distribution, and because it's a standard normal distribution, the mu is 0 and sigma is 1. So I've got my thing set up. To compute then, I just need to type in my two z-scores. The lower one is negative 1.7. The upper one is a positive 0.7. And there we go. There's our probability, 0.1735 with rounding. So this is saying 71.35% of z-scores fall between negative 1.7 and 0.7. So to summarize, to decide what the shading should be, you should look at the statement of the question. If you have a z-score between two values, that's the between two values situation. If you have a z-score that is greater than, that's area to the right. If you're looking for probabilities that are less than, that is area to the left. To use technology, to use this particular thing, you select your shading using these buttons. You type in what z-score you want merely by clicking on the button here and typing it in. And as a default, you should make sure you're set at the normal distribution with the mean being 0 and the standard deviation being 1. I hope you find this helpful.